Hello, guys. So, how are you all doing today? I hope you're all doing safe and sound. So, yes, it's been raining here from morning, and it's very cold, chill, and also down with cold. Please take care of your health. And I also read in papers there's a lot of floods and a lot of rain expected in many places. So Chennai here, I know in India, Tamil Nadu state, especially in Chennai, there's a lot of floods, is what I hear for next 10 days, Cuddalore and things like that. So please stay safe, guys, wherever you are. And I welcome all of you on behalf of PSTV. And this is Ramya, and I'm your host for this evening. So we are dealing with debate verticals. Okay. So yesterday we began with a subtopic that is how whether are trying to answer whether debate is an active learning process or passive learning process. And end of the session we also understood that debate facilitates a active learning process. So today we're just trying to condense everything and try to see after comparing active and passive, what are the differences, like the contrast that we see between active and passive learning. That's what we're going to see. And yeah, with that brief intro, let's get into our actual session, what it looks like. So today we have a quote of the day. As usual, we have quiz buzz. Topic of the day is compare and contrast between active and passive learning. So we compare both of them and we see what are the differences between two sorts of learning. And then we have would you rather section. And then today I'm going to bring to you a new activity, that is think, pair, share, debate. Okay, so it's a new activity which you can employ to develop your debate skills. Okay, so it's think, pair, share, debate activity. And then we have a quick recap to wind up with, to know, like how much we have understood in this session. And the take back home, and in take back home I'm going to give you a suggestion for a suggestion of the topic, where you can dwell upon and um, try to write your debate script. So today I'm going to introduce to you a new activity, think, pair, share, debate activity, and you can employ that activity in the topic I'm going to suggest in the take back home section. Okay. So yes, with that, let's go and get into this quote of the day. The first segment is quote of the day. So let's read the beautiful quote that we have. So the quote of the day is something like this. It reads like, "The expert in anything was once a beginner." Wow, Helen Harris. So it's beautiful, right? So it's such an encouragement to know that, if you want to be successful in anything, if you want to reach to the highest point in any particular skill that you have taken in, it always starts with the first step, right? Once uh, only that first step is what is going to start the whole journey towards becoming the expert or a successful person in that developing that particular skill. So an expert is in anything was once just a beginner. So do not fear to start, because starting point is very important, and that will become the foundation for exploring further about any particular subject. Okay, so yes, with that beautiful motivation and the fact that is actually given here in this beautiful proverb, let's go into our next section. So the next section is all about quiz buzz, and today's theme is, guys, sports. So whoever is interested in sports and whoever loves sports freak, they will be very happy to attend this particular quiz buzz section, I hope. And rest of us, like me, who is not very into sports, it's a learning journey for me. I'll be trying to learn a lot of things in this section. So with that, let's go into the first question. The term double fault is associated with which sport? So guys, the first question is, the term double fault is associated with which particular sport? If you know it, type it in the comment section. Let's read it out for all of us who do not have much knowledge in the sports, area. It will be a learning experience for all of us. So those who know it, do comment in the comment section. And those who do not know, just like me, I'm not so good in sports. We will learn from those who can help us to find the answer for this. So yes, guys, the term double fault is associated with which particular sport? Okay. Clues can be basketball, tennis, football. These are the options. Now you guess. The term double fault is associated with which sport? Okay. So let's see the answer. It's tennis. Okay. So in tennis, this particular way of describing the fault is associated with the double fault system. Okay. Yes. Next one. Who is the first Indian woman to win an individual Olympic medal? Who is the first Indian woman to win an individual Olympic medal? Okay, it's a proud moment to see that it was Indian woman who actually first won an individual Olympic medal. An Indian, okay. Which Indian woman was that? Okay, so let's check in the answer and learn together. Karnam Malleshwari. So it's called, her name was Karnam Malleshwari. She was the first Indian who actually um, won an individual Olympic medal for us, for our nation. Beautiful. Pride moment. Okay. The next question. Where is the headquarters of the International Olympic Committee situated in? Where is the headquarters of the International Olympic Committee situated in? PV Sindhu. Okay. Probably that was later. The first um, Rohit's musical world. Okay, Rohit's musical world is what is mentioned here. So probably that was the later, the recent one that we're talking about. But we talked about the first Indian woman who bought us the individual Olympic medal. So that was Karnam Malleshwari. Okay. Then we have many others coming in. Okay. Now, where is the headquarters of the International Olympic Committee situated? Okay, let's take a look at the answer. Lausanne. Okay, Lausanne is where the Olympic Committee is situated. Okay. The last question for this segment, guys. The Indian cricketer who has recently been inducted into the ICIC Hall of Fame in June 9, 2021. The Indian cricketer who has recently been inducted into the ICIC Hall of Fame in June 2021. Which cricketer was it? And I just read through. I'm not very much into cricket, but then I read through, and he's one of the cricketer who has represented in 44 Test matches in midst of in 19th century. I don't remember the particular dates, but the first person to actually involve in a lot of highest number of Test matches in a span of period. So, which Indian cricketer was he? Okay, so lot of sports people are missing today. Vino Mankan. Vino Mankan is one of the cricketer who has actually been, inducted into the ICSE Hall of Fame recently in June 2021. Okay, great. So, plan. Right. Good, Rohit. Keep up the spirit. Nice participation in the comment section, I must say. That's the first step towards building our confidence, and it all begins with voicing out our opinion. It's a learning journey together, right? So I wholeheartedly encourage you to keep up with this participation, active participation. And we are all learning about active learning. So being active in the comment section is also part of active learning, guys. Okay, Lausanne, Switzerland. Yes, Rohit, you have already now you've arrived to the right answer. See, this is how active learning helps us. Like we do our research and we learn it, and we that now this will remain with you forever, Rohit. You will not forget this because it's become your learning. You've actually been participating and actively involved in learning. So that's the whole thing that we're discussing, right? Active learning versus passive learning. Now, the compare and contrast, the first thing is to understand the meanings of active learning and passive learning. We defined it yesterday to just brush up and just give a quick, recap or recall to those definitions. So, active learning is that form of learning wherein there is active involvement of the students in the concerned activities and discussions, just like how you all have been actively involved in this learning process. That's how our active learning will be. The active learning happens when there is direct involvement of the students in any particular concerned activity or discussion, so that the learning becomes permanent and for a longer term. Okay. Now, passive learning on the other side, what we understand is it is when the learners acquire knowledge without making any conscious efforts by themselves in this regard. Okay, it's just transfer of knowledge. Passive learning is transfer of knowledge from one end to the another end. That's passive learning, where there is no involvement of the learner in that process directly. So that's passive learning. And passive learning, as we saw yesterday in the last slide, if you remember, it's like a leaking tap. How much ever knowledge it gets transferred directly, it will not stay for longer because it is not something that you have been involved in, right? It's just transfer. So it will, it will kind of, you lose that very easily. It's like a leaking tap. Okay. So, yes, so with that basic understanding and the meanings of passive and learning, today we are going to see the contrasts. Like what are the differences between after comparing active and passive definitions, right? What are the different differences, contrasts that we find in active and passive learning? So when it comes to involvement, in terms of involvement, okay, in active, the students are highly involved. In terms of students' involvement, you can see that active is where there is high involvement of student. Okay, in passive there is a very less involvement of students. Okay, so the in terms of students involvement, which has high involvement, it is active process, because the student is directly involved in that activities or discussions that is there for understanding. So this is the first differences that we need to understand. So active process is when student involvement is high. Okay, and passive is when student involvement is very low. Okay, now while I'm doing this comparison, right, guys, I'm just going to suggest that keep in mind the debate. Okay, because we are trying to understand everything in terms of debate. So in debate, what happens? Is it the students high involvement or teacher driven? Is it less student involvement and teacher driven? Just try to keep parallelly understand what debate is, what kind of a process that happens in debate. Okay, whether it's active or passive, try to take in each segment. Okay, so in this, I'm sure student involvement is very high. It's a active process. Debate, in terms of student involvement, it is a active process. Okay, next one. Next differences is again active is student centered. It revolves around the student, meaning the more the student involves, the more the student tries to explore things, the more the student is um, doing his research and creatively being there in that particular process, the more he gets to learn. So it is all student centered. Okay, student takes charge of learning. Okay, in passive, it is more of teacher centered. That means the teacher is in charge of delivering the information, in delivering the content, the knowledge, everything. It's more teacher centered. From teacher point of view, what they have, what she or he has understood, they transfer it to the student. So it is more teacher centered and not focused on the student part. Okay, so passive is teacher centered, active is student centered. So again, now let's see in relation with debate, what do you think? Is it an active or passive form? Is there a student oriented? Is it student oriented process that happens, or is it teacher oriented? Just think And you will see that in debate it is again student centered, again it is an active process. Okay, debate is an active process. The next difference is that active learning is used to improve learning, okay, and passive is used when new material is presented. Okay, now again, active is used to improve learning. That means, like for example, right now, I can give a live example that I have introduced to you, all of you guys, that there is a concept called active learning and passive learning, right? So this becomes passive learning, whereas where I am introducing a new material, I'm just presenting it to you, that there is active and passive learning, and I'm presenting all the different definitions and compare contrast. So all this still, I will tell that it is still in passive mode, that I'm just giving you new material. Okay, active, when it becomes active is when you get back home and you do your research again, when you read through, when you read through again about what is active learning, what is passive learning, and you go beyond than what you have listened in the classroom, right? That becomes active learning, when you are actively researching for yourself what more is there in active learning process and what more is there in passive learning process. Then you go from point A to point B, right? So that is, I would like to say that active is revolving under constructivism theory. Constructivism theory is nothing but you construct on your understanding. So you know something about active learning and passive learning to some extent now. Now, if you are a real active learner, you will construct on this. How you will make from this understanding, from this much of understanding to this much understanding. Now, how do you make that? By you actively participating, like seeing more videos or reading more about this particular topic. So you're constructing on that particular concept. The knowledge is increased, the learning is increased, and you're involved in that process. You're reading it rather than me delivering the information. You will be involved in uh, building that knowledge. So that becomes active process. So active is used to improve learning. Okay, so there is a particular learning about this. Now you have to improve that learning. If you want to improve any sort of teaching or any sort of learning, you need to be involved in that process, and that becomes active. Okay, so again, coming back to debate, do you think it is the active process or passive process in terms of this statement? So in debate, I'm sure again it is used to improve your learning. You have a certain understanding about a particular topic that is given for debate. Now you improve on that learning. In debate, you do a research, right? You do for yourself. You are doing the research. It's not that someone else is involved in giving you the information. Now you voluntarily do more research. So it is a active process. It is used to improve learning. Debate is also used to improve learning. So it's again active process. We're just trying to see how debate is an active process. So we have seen 3 points right now. Now the next thing is active process. What happens is that the knowledge retention is very high. Why? It is again self-explained now. Because you are directly involved in the process, the knowledge retention will be very high. But in passive learning, because it is just transferred from someone, the knowledge retention will be comparatively very low. If you remember the triangle that I presented yesterday, you would see that passive learning has very less percentage of retention of knowledge. It's just highest was 30%, and in active process we saw that it was up to 90% that it could retain. That is while you share your knowledge. When you share your knowledge, that is the highest. That provides the highest knowledge retention scope. Okay, so I'm just going to give you that triangle to just compare. Now, if you see here, yes, the last section, the blue section, that is what is your active learning segment. So there it's given it's 90%. To the highest is 90%. That is when you provide your information. Okay, when you deliver your information to someone and you share that knowledge, it becomes a permanent learning. Okay, so coming back, yes, we saw this. Mm. Yes. Now the next one is So again, coming back to the previous slide, guys. Now tell me whether in debate there is knowledge retention, highly retained, or less. It is the retention is less. The knowledge retention is less or high in debate. Definitely in debate, knowledge retention is very high because of all the previous definitions, previous points that we saw. Because it is student centered, it is more of student involvement, right? Because of that, the knowledge retention is very high in debate because you are actively involved. So again, proving that debate is a active process. The next one is in active learning, what happens is there is a HOTS form, that is higher order thinking skills, that is developed. So, what do you mean by higher order thinking skills, and what do you mean by lower order thinking skills? So, let just to give you an idea. So, higher order thinking skills means anything which include the steps of analysis, synthesizing, evaluation, collaboration, public speaking, right? All these steps are involved in higher order thinking skills. Now, lower order thinking skills means where it involves defining, someone is giving a definition, someone is describing it, so writing skills, right? So all these will come in lower order thinking skills. Okay, so in debate it is involving, as I told you, there is analysis, synthesis, evaluation, public speaking, collaboration. So all these is involved in debate, and hence it is again an active process. So it is proving that it is an active process. Debate is an active process because it involves HOTS, higher order thinking skills. Okay, the next one is in active learning, what happens is the responsibility of learning is taken by the student. Okay, if I am involved, if actively involved and trying to learn something, so definitely I take in charge. I take charge and I know that I am responsible for my learning. I am purely responsible for my learning. It's not like you're not depending on someone. You can't. We can't have blame game here because you are involved in the learning actively. So complete responsibility of learning is taken by the one who is actively involved in that process. So active responsibility of learner is higher, and passive, the teacher takes the responsibility for the student's learning. So here the teacher takes the responsibility for the student's learning because the teacher is the one who is transferring knowledge. Now teacher will be responsible like how well she is transferring the knowledge. That's how the responsibility is mainly on the teacher and not on students. Okay, it's not you're not um, self, you're not being self responsible here in a passive process. So in active, you're responsible. So again, coming back to debate, you can see that whether you're going to do whether your points are really well constructed, whether you have pointed well defined, strong points in your debate, everything depends purely on you because you have done the research. The responsibility is on you. You are being the active person in this journey, right? You do the downloading of the articles, you do the research, you actually write down different important points, you structure it. Everything is purely purely based on you are involved. So responsibility of the learner is there. So again, proving that debate facilitates active learning process. Okay, the next one is role of a teacher. What is the role of a teacher in active process, and what is the role of the teacher in passive learning? In active learning, you can see that the role of the teacher is more of a facilitator. What is facilitator is nothing but who kinds of gives you directions whenever it is needed. Otherwise, the teacher is out. The teacher is not directly involved in the learning process. Okay, they just give the routes. Okay, they just give the direction. Okay, why don't they provide probing questions? They facilitators facilitators what they do is they give probing questions and not direct answers. Okay, they will ask you questions like, now what do you think can be the answer for this? Now how do you think this situation can be solved? So the facilitators will make the student to take the ownership of learning, and they start thinking. Okay, they will make them think. The facilitators will make the student think. While in passive, the role of the teacher will be like a commander. They give all the instructions, they give all the rules and everything, how it has to apply. Step by step guidance is given in passive learning. The role of the teacher in passive learning is that she becomes a commander and she gives step by step process how to solve a problem or how to look at anything. Okay, so it's more of direct answers given. So definitely, again, we can see that debate is helping us in active learning process. Okay, so because teacher in debate is not no one, it's no one, but it can be your parents, siblings, right? They can also act as facilitators, where they will just give you some suggestions, like, why don't you refer this article? Why don't you look at this particular topic in a different angle? Right? So they will just give you some probing questions. When do you think this topic is was more relevant? Was it in this generation or previous generation? So based on the probing questions, you will develop your content by yourself. So again, active process. Debate enhances active process of learning. Now the last one, the compare and contrast. Active, it initiates divergent thinking. Now divergent, what does that mean? So divergent is nothing but, imagine the sun, right? The sun's rays are divergent, radiant, right? So we say the sun rays are shines in a radiant form. That means it shines on all the directions, right? It's in radiant form. So active learning is that. So where you will think in divergent form, you will connect things in different ways, in creative ways. You will think in a broader spectrum. Okay, it's not a narrow thing; it's an open-minded, broader spectrum. So in debate, again, it is a divergent thinking. You think in different perspectives, right? So it is a divergent thinking. Passive, it initiates convergent thinking. That means if a statement is given, you try to say yes or no, true or false, right? It's just like one word. You're just narrowing down all the information, and convergently you're thinking whether it's just applicable, not applicable, one word, right? And you're not thinking creatively in passive learning. So that is why it is convergent thinking. So again, in debate, it facilitates active learning because it facilitates divergent thinking. It makes you think beyond your subject, beyond your comfort zone. You go and do research. So it is a divergent thinking format. Okay. The last difference, guys, active, it's more a hands-on observation, practical application, and simulation. So this actually kind of encapsulates everything that we have said so far. So you involve in active learning, the main source of knowledge is always hands-on observation, practical application, experiments. You are involved, you are doing it within your in your own hands, and you're, if not experiments in your hands, it's like you're processing the information by yourself. So you're the active person in that. Whereas in passive learning, the main source of knowledge is always the teacher or the instructor, or the books and online resources that are available. So it's kind of downloading information from already existing pool of knowledge, right? So that's why it is passive. So again, in debate, it is hands-on practical application. You are involved, so it is facilitating active process. Okay, so I hope you have kind of got a clarity on the contrast and difference. Let's run through. In active, it is highly involved students involvement. In passive, it is very less involvement. The next one was, it is student centered in active, and it is teacher centered in passive learning. Just look at the active statements very carefully, and if you can see that all these are involved in debate. Okay, so in active process, it is used to improve one's learning. In passive, it is used when new material is presentations. Okay, and active learning, knowledge retention is very high. Passive knowledge retention is very less, comparatively less. Active, it is a HOTS system, that is higher order thinking skills system. Passive is lower order thinking system. And again, the next one, active, it facilitates for the learners to take up the responsibility. And passive, it is more on the teacher. Teacher are more responsible for the students learning. Sorry, guys. Uh, And then we have role of the teacher. How is the role of the teacher in active and passive? In active, it is more of a facilitator, and in passive, it is more of a commander. Again, active, it facilitates divergent thinking, and passive, it facilitates convergent thinking. And the last difference, as we saw, active is the hands-on observation, practical application, and simulation of the person involved. And passive, in passive, what happens is teacher or the instructor is there, books and online resources are used. Resources are used. Okay. Now, quickly giving you some of the examples where active learning happens and where passive learning happens. Active learning, you can see in question answer sessions, you are involved. Okay, someone is questioning, you are completely involved in the process, you are answering back. Excursions are there, brainstorming when you're trying to get more information about a particular topic, then you kind of sit together in a larger group and discuss things. So it is that is called brainstorming. In a larger group, you're involved in discussions. So that is brainstorming. Debates. It is an active learning process, as it is mentioned here, because all of these is involved. Dramatization, assignments, individual assignments when it's given. It's an active learning process. Independent study when you're doing problem solving. And problem solving helps us more because each problem has to be looked in a very different way to find a solution to it. So problem solving thinking, it is also an active learning process. So the examples for passive learning can be the lecture mode, tutorials, seminar, programmed instructions, PowerPoint presentations, illustrations, textbooks. All these are what happening is that it's a single person driven, right? In lectures, there's one person who is delivering you the content. In tutorials, again, there's one person who is there to guide you, like not guide, it's exactly tutoring you, right? Just giving you information, knowledge, seminars, PowerPoint presentation. On all these spaces, there's more involvement of the presenter or the teacher, right? So these are some passive learning examples. Okay. Okay. So we have seen this um, in the yesterday's slide. So I will kind of tell you what I wanted to focus more. So in active learning, as I told you, HOTS system, there is analysis. Then we have evaluation, synthesis. We have analysis, synthesis, evaluation, and public speaking and collaboration. That's what is seen in active learning. And if you see that, that is nothing but which is facilitating your critical thinking side. Okay, so next in the follow up, you will see that tomorrow we will be discussing about critical thinking, how debate helps us to develop critical thinking side of ours. Okay, how debate facilitates critical thinking side, and it's all about the left side reasoning section. Okay, so that is what actually is active learning. Okay, so we will look at that in our next session anyhow. So yeah, I think now it's time for us to take a break, short break, and look at into would you rather section. So the first question here, let's see how you will choose, what you will choose if you're given two options. Would you rather have a pool or a trampoline? Would you rather have a pool or a trampoline? What did you choose if you're given a choice? Okay, pool. Okay, I would choose a pool. The next one, would you rather be really fast or really strong? What would you choose? Given you option, would you like to gain the ability to be really fast or the ability to be really strong? fast. I think we're already in this fast pace of life. All everything is so fast. We need to slow down, in fact. So, and yeah, I would choose to be really strong in all the aspects, all the four quadrants of life. The next one, would you rather be a master at painting or an amazing dancer? Painting or dancing? What would you choose? I'm more inclined to art, so I would choose definitely to be a master at painting rather than a dancer. Not a very kinesthetic person, more towards artistic. So, yeah, master of painting, master at painting. So, what did you choose, guys? Okay, the next question and the last question in this round. Would you rather be a bird or a horse? Okay, a bird who will be free to fly and a horse who is fastest. I would definitely choose a bird. I would like to fly. Okay, bird. Great. So with that, guys, we have come to the end of the Would You Rather section. Now we're moving on to what I told as a new activity that I'm introducing to you. Think, pair, share, debate. Okay. So how you can use think, pair, share activity in debate. So what happens in this is this type of a debate requires students to think and make notes alone about the issue in the first segment. That is think. Okay. So in this type of debate, what happens is the topic is given, an individual student is allowed to make notes alone make notes alone by themselves about that particular issue given. That is the first segment. Think. You think individually. Okay. So active process is there. And the first step is thinking by yourself when the debate topic is given. The next is pair. So what is pair? After personal reflection, after personal time is given, you have come up with your points. After personal reflection is completed, pairs are formed. Okay. And once you come with your pair, then you do teamwork. Your other partner and you together share the points, exchange the points, and you do a teamwork. And both the sides, you after comparing their notes and creating list to support both sides of the issue. So both sides of the issue, you get different points and you make points. Okay, for is this, against is this. Okay, then once complete, the pairs of two are combined with another pair. So one pair will be working on uh, for or against. They have got some points, and now you go into the another pair. So similarly, there will be another pair who has got information while working together, and you combine together, and then you will see who has got more points on for. You combine your, if your topic is for, you combine with that person's for topic. Okay, and you two become one pair, and the other person who has got more of against points, that person and the person in your team who has against a topic, they become pairs. Okay, so the newly formed groups of four discuss the issue, choose a position. So this is where you choose the position, whether you want to go into for or against based on the information both the groups have got it, and edit their list to their best arguments. Finally, the groups of four present their position and reasons to the class. So the groups of four, meaning who has now segregated into for and against. Right now, you have people in for segment and you also have people in against segment. Now, those two people present their opinions. So this is how think, pair, share concept works in debate. First, you individually think, then pair up with others and see what kind of points they have, and then look whether they are having for topic or against, points with them, and combine with the next pair who is there in their group who has got for or against. You discuss amongst yourself and then take your positions. So you can swap between your pair and that pair if you want if you see another person having better for points, you can combine with that person and make a team. So you think, pair, and finally you share to the classroom. Okay, so this is how think, pair, share, debate works. Okay, so I hope you will employ this activity in the topic that I'm going to suggest in the end. So anyhow, now it's time for testing our knowledge. So the first question, lectures and tutorials fall under which type of learning? So today it's not yes or no, it is more of active or passive. You should choose between. Do you think this is an active process or a passive process? Lectures and tutorials. So, okay, this whole segment is revolving under around you telling me whether it's an active or passive form of learning. For that, I'll just give you 2 seconds to just again revisit these sections. So, active learning examples, it is question answers, exertions, brainstorming, debates, dramatization, assignments, independent study, problem solving. Okay. Now, passive learning is lectures, tutorials, seminars, programmed instructions, PowerPoint presentations, illustrations, and textbooks. Okay, now having said the examples, now you have to tell me rightly in this segment where these fall. Okay, so let's get into that. Okay, here is it. Lectures and tutorials fall under which type of learning? Is it passive or active learning? Lecturing and tutorials. Is it student driven or teacher driven? If it is teacher driven, you have to say it as passive learning. So now tell me whether it is passive or active. Definitely in lectures and tutorials, it is more a teacher driven. So it is a passive learning, guys. It is a passive learning. Okay, lectures and tutorials. Brainstorming is a way of learning for active or passive brainstorming. There's discussion, you are involved, you brainstorm, you talk about the things that you know, and you also get information from the other people around you. So there's active participation of you in this. So it is a brainstorming, active participation is involved. So hence it is a active learning process, brainstorming. Debating comes under which type of learning? So after elaborate understanding of active and passive learning, we concluded that debating comes under which type of learning? Is it an active learning process or passive? We saw all the points and we concluded that debate is more a student oriented. It is a higher order thinking skills. You involve higher order thinking skills, which is active process. So it is a active learning process. Debating comes under active learning. The last question, guys, let's see. PowerPoint presentation is widely used for students under which type of learning? Presentation. PowerPoint presentation, again, it is a one person driven. So it is okay. It is a passive learning when one person is standing and they're delivering the content to all of them. PowerPoint presentations are passive learning format. Okay. So, but remember, guys, when you have to do a presentation, right? When you are given the responsibility of doing a presentation by all by yourself, then you are involved in active process of learning because you are going to do the research, you're going to bring in all the topics, you're going to see how you're going to align the slides, everything, right? So when you are preparing for presentation, it is a active learning. When you are attending someone's presentation, it is passive learning. Getting the difference, I guess. Okay. I'm going to repeat once again. I said when you are preparing a presentation, then it is active learning because you do research and you find out information and you prepare the slides. You are directly involved, right? So it is active process. But when you are attending someone's presentation, when someone is presenting to you content, then it is a passive learning. Okay, great. So with that, guys, we are coming to the end of the session. Eliminate student loan debt. Okay, should it be eliminated or not? Take for and against stance and try to employ in think, pair, share, debate method with your friends and family. So try to get a pair for yourself, and both of you do your research. She can write for against or for how many ever points that she wants, and you can also write, for and against how many ever points that you get. Then come together, pair up, and see how many points you've got. You have to find another pair who has worked together, and then you people can decide amongst yourself what positions you want to take and present those points to the larger contents, larger um, audiences. Okay, so this is how your think pair share uh, method can be used for debate. Okay, the topic is eliminate student loan debt. Okay, that's the topic. The follow up for tomorrow, as I told you guys, so it is debate and critical thinking. Okay, how debate is actually following the critical thinking steps. There are seven major steps that is involved for a better improvement of critical thinking pattern. So debate actually facilitates our critical thinking ability, which is a part of active learning process. And we're going to see what are those seven stages of critical thinking and how that is used in debate. Okay, so critical thinking is all about reasoning and getting better understanding of a topic under different looking at in different segments. Okay, so we will explore critical thinking importance and how debate is employing critical thinking steps. Okay, so with that, guys, we have come to the end of the session, and beautiful session as usual with all of your participation. So kudos to all of us together. So let's look forward for tomorrow's session, and again, an active learner within us. Let us awaken that active learner within us and be actively present in the comment section, right? So with that small encouragement, I end the session. And as usual, be awesome, be yourself, be unique, right? Be unique is be yourself, because each one of us are so diverse and different, and each one of us being different is what makes this whole world unique. So let's celebrate each one of us, how we are, what we are, and what we're made up of, right? So our thinking patterns, everything will be diverse, so it doesn't matter, it's all unique. So be awesome, be unique, and always be ready to do great things, because the future belongs to you guys. You are the budding generation, right? So the future definitely belongs to you all. So great, guys. Have a lovely evening with your friends, family members, um, and yeah, people around you. Have a great time. So we'll catch up tomorrow at 5 p.m. Till then, see you.